this video is going to be on the shorter side. I know I'm not gonna, well, as you can tell, I didn't do an introduction. I don't really script my videos, but this one more so I have not scripted. Well, I have like a basic outline of what I want to say, but I haven't really scripted it in the way I do with the other videos, even though like I said, most of my videos are mostly unscripted. I felt like I needed to do this, especially considering the whole situation going on right now. I felt like I couldn't continue posting videos, uploading videos without having this said and out there. I do have videos coming up that are more Disney themed and more Disney centric. I'm just pulling up my studio to see what I have scheduled that's more Disney centric. Today is the 21st. Today's the 21st of September. So let's see. I have a book review, but that's more so related. I have a Disney book review that's more so related to, it's like semi-connected to Disney, since it's the Disney adult books. This one, I feel like that's just going to give them more of a reason. I feel like this situation's just going to give them more of a reason to not like Disney adults. Anyway, I had last week's video, not last week's, I had this past Friday's video. I have a video coming up on Wednesday, which is the book review. And then for more Disney centered videos, I have one in October, on October 21st. That's a Disney Parks book tag. And then I have a couple, like 4 more videos. I have a Disneyland, I might take that one down. We'll see. I have a Disneyland tips and tricks video coming out November 26th. And then I have my Disneyland trip videos, which are going to go up. Part 1 is like the preparation, and that's going to go up on November 27th. The actual trip is going to go up November 28th. And then I have a 4th, 5th, I guess, 6th video going up on December 12th, which is I read these so you don't have to Disney edition. At this point, I don't think I'm going to take them down, just because there was a lot of time and effort and energy went into these videos. However, because I'm not going to take them down, I also wanted to have this video out here. I do not condone or agree with the decision to remove Jimmy Kimmel and his late night show. Did he make mistakes? Sure, we all have. We're all human, and it's easy to idolize people who we see on television and in movies and on the screen. It's easy to idolize them. It's also easy to nitpick their mistakes, and whatever mistakes Jimmy Kimmel made, whether recent or in the past, does not justify his removal of his show from ABC. And I am highly disappointed in ABC and Disney in their decision to do that. I'm highly disappointed, and it hurts because I think I've talked about it a little bit on this channel, and I bring it up in future videos, the ones that I mentioned. But for me, Disney has always been one of the few franchises that's been pure joy and happiness. And that's not to say that Disney has always had good intentions. I, like many other Disney adults, are usually the first ones to call Disney out on its bullshit. And we're usually the first ones to be like critiquing Disney. like in our critique of Song of the South, and to a slightly lesser extent Splash Mountain, because it was based off of Song of the South. When the artists went on strike with Disney, from Disney, because they weren't getting paid enough, and cast members, even up until today, not getting paid enough, like, we're usually some of the first ones to call Disney on and its bullshit and to critique it. But that doesn't mean we can't have the dichotomy almost of loving Disney while also being able to be the first ones to critique it, while also being able to critique Disney. Because I think most Disney adults, most of us know that Disney can be so good and, in a sense, pure happiness for many Disney adults, myself included. So it's like, we know how Disney can make us feel. So that just makes it easier for us to be able to critique it and call it on its bullshit. So, like I said, I felt like I needed to make this video and just put that out there. I have the videos scheduled and going up, and at this point I don't think I'm going to take them down, just because, like I said, there was so much time and effort went into them, and I don't want to be like scrambling to, well, some of the videos I wouldn't necessarily need to replace or put in new videos for, but at least like 2 of them, 3 of them, I don't want to be like scrambling to figure out what would be a replacement video for that. So I'm not going to take them down. I have made notes in those videos descriptions, or at least the ones that are currently scheduled, and I've made notes in the descriptions for those videos and in the videos that I still have to schedule. I've made notes in the videos themselves as well as the descriptions. And at this point, sending less money to Disney is the best way to go. So canceling subscriptions. If you have a Disney park trip planned already, try not to spend as much on merchandise. Take some of the tips that I mentioned in my, or that I will be mentioning in my Disneyland tips and tricks video. I'll include those tips down below in the description of this video. But, so refer to those tips. I'll also link that video, the Disneyland tips and tricks. I'll link that down below in the description as well, but that's not going to go up until, let me double check, I think it's November 26th. Yeah, November 26th. Because I do explain the tips in a little bit more detail. But try not to spend as much money on, if you're going to a Disneyland park soon, try not to spend as much money on merchandise, even on snacks and food, and just keep the pressure on Disney. Cancel your subscriptions if you can, even if it's only for a month. Like, cancel it before it renews. Again, even if it's only for a month, because that'll send a message. Like, try to limit the amount of money you're sending to Disney. And believe me, like I said, like, Disney for me has always been one of the pure joy parts of my life, and like, it's hard. It's hard because I want, like, part of me wants to just see Disney as this good company. It's not. It's a company. It needs to make money. It's not wholly good or pure, which I know. But like I said, for me, and I'm sure like for many others, it's been one of the better parts of their lives. So I get it. It can be hard to sever that a little bit. But if you cancel your Disney Plus subscription, I'm sure some of us, or a lot of us, have DVDs or know someone who has access to the DVDs or even the VHS tapes for the movies. And so trying to utilize DVDs, VHS tapes, CDs, try not to listen to the music through music subscriptions like Spotify or Apple Music. So just trying to limit the amount of money that's being sent towards Disney is the best option until they correct this mistake. And again, like I mentioned earlier, we've all made mistakes. Are there times where Jimmy Kimmel should have been fired for something he said or did? I can't really speak on that because I haven't really watched enough of Jimmy Kimmel to have that kind of opinion. However, I know that there are people who would say yes, there are people who would say no. Personally, I can't speak on that. It's possible that there are other things that he had said or done that he should have gotten fired for way sooner than this. But what he was fired for, looking at the Epstein files, his monologue was like 90% about the Epstein files, which should be released. They should have been released like 5 years ago. They should have been released yesterday. Like 2% of it was about Charlie Kirk. But he should not have been fired for critiquing our current administration. That is the point of free speech. We should be able to critique our current administration, or else it turns into a dictatorship. And like, that's something that's the American people have always prided themselves on, that we aren't a dictatorship, and yet we're turning into one. I don't want to start crying. It would be like crying out of frustration. I just don't want to start crying about this. I'm frustrated. And it seems like the right only holds the First Amendment dear when it applies to them. So my whole point of this is that Jimmy Kimmel should not have been fired over critiquing the current administration. And I will be doing my best to, despite my upcoming trip, I will be doing my best to boycott as much as possible the Disney company until they correct it in the best way possible for Jimmy Kimmel, for him to benefit, and to a lesser extent for Disney, the company, but again, majority of it for Jimmy Kimmel to like benefit from the fact that he was just knocked off the air. Again, like, I don't agree with all of his opinions, but he should still have the right to safely voice his opinions without safely critique the current administration without worrying about if it's going to cost him his job. So anyway, like I said, like, it's kind of being on average with the rest of my videos, but water. So my Disney videos are still gonna go up, but other than that, I'm gonna be doing my best to boycott the Disney company and to not send them as much, if any more, money until they fix this. So I'll see you all in my next video, I guess.